Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our HJI virtual open house. We're grateful to each one of you for coming tonight and participating in this event. This is an opportunity for each of you to hear about HJI, our programs of studies, something about our institution, its history, and our community, and also to hear from some of our students who are currently enrolled here at the institution, what their experience has been. So this is a special opportunity for you to ask questions, to learn more, and hopefully something that we say here tonight may inspire you to want to take a class at HJI or seek a degree program. So we will have an opportunity later in the program for Q&A. You're welcome at any time, though, to type your question into the chat box, and we will try our best to address it during the question and answer portion of our program. So to begin our program, I'd like to introduce our president, Dr. Thomas Walsh, who will act as your host tonight. Dr. Walsh is the 7th president of HJI. He is a graduate of 1979, graduate of what was then UTS. And after completing his studies here at our institution, he went on to receive his PhD from Vanderbilt University in the field of religion and ethics. It's been a pleasure to have Dr. Walsh here. He's been here now, I guess, a couple of years now, right, Dr. Walsh? And we're so pleased to have.
It's been around 20 years.
It feels like 20 years. We've inherited a lot. We've learned a lot from Dr. Walsh. As you know, he is a man of great experience in the service of our true parents. He was instrumental in the establishment and the leadership of the Universal Peace Federation. And until just prior to coming here to HJI, he was the chair of UPF International. He's also a professor, as we'll speak about a little bit later, and a very accomplished editor for various publications. So it's my pleasure to welcome now Dr. Thomas Walsh, who's going to offer his welcoming remarks to you. Dr. Walsh?
Thank you very much, Dean Stephen Boyd. I appreciate your generous introduction. I wanted you to give the 30-minute introduction, but it's okay that you only gave the 3-minute one. I'm sure everyone will want to stay on longer for the rest of that introduction. No, I'm just teasing. Thank you. I really love you and appreciate all that you do for this great institution with your background, which I'll say a little bit about in a moment. But welcome everyone tonight. We're proud and excited to be part of this great institution that began really starting next year. We will be moving into our 50th anniversary celebrations because on September 20th of next year, 2025, we'll be 50 years old. So even though we've changed the name of the institution, we are still the institution that our true parents founded in 1975. We've made some adjustments, and those adjustments have been guided directly by True Mother, going back about, most recently about 4 years ago, where she directly gave some of her inspiration and guidance about how we could develop going forward. And we've been moving in that direction with a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. And we feel like we're moving really into a new age. And it's kind of exciting that our 50th anniversary coincides with the events that will take place in Korea in April of next year, centering on April 13th in particular, which is the opening of the Cheonwon-gung and the Cheonil Sanctum, and kind of symbolic of a new era. So in some ways, we're also seeing HJI as kind of starting its next 50 years. I don't know if I'll be around with Dean Boyd at the end of the second 50 years, but we'll be here as long as we're useful, but we're quite excited. We're especially excited about the wonderful and brilliant students that we have, and you'll see a few of them in just a moment. I would just say I was at church on Sunday, and Reverend Justin Okamoto gave a wonderful sermon. It was titled "Make a Difference." And then he often interacts with the congregants, and he mentioned, what are we form small groups and talk a little bit, and he says, anybody want to share? And I shared a little bit about making a difference, and I couched it in the terms of education, how through education we can make a difference, and that's from the institutional point of view of a great mission to educate is extremely important and exciting in terms of making a difference. And I mentioned that when Mother spoke to me several times about my work at this school, she would invariably mention St. Paul, Augustine, Luther, Calvin, these and others, but these great leaders who made a tremendous impact in Christian civilization, and noting that they were not only inspired people of God, but they were highly learned people who developed the capacities that gave them power and authority to make this kind of powerful and transformative impact. So that's also our goal, and we deeply believe that even for our students, we try to instill that vision that the reason they're building their capacities is so they can be more effective, more transformative in their own areas of work. So we're excited that you've joined us tonight. I want to turn it back over to Dean Boyd at this point. Dean Boyd is really a kind of an all-star in the area of admissions and enrollment management, which is his responsibility at this school. It's really the center of bringing students and serving students and making sure students find their way in this institution and are guided throughout their time here. And he's worked for decades. He was for many years at the University of Bridgeport. He has also been at the University of New Haven. He's a widely desired consultant to other academic institutions in higher ed. And frequently, he'll be off on a weekend to this city or that city because they invite him as a speaker about these issues, where higher ed is really addressing how to attract students, how to retain students, and how to serve students so that when they graduate and move beyond, the skills they've learned can really serve them well in their various ministries or in what we call, as it is in our name, public leadership, that we want to create public leaders. So it's a delight to work with you, Dean Boyd, and to learn so much from you. And I know at this point you will speak about our programs and a little bit about some of our upcoming courses. So I'll turn it back over to you, Dean Stephen Boyd.
Well, thank you, Dr. Walsh. Thank you for the very kind words. It's a pleasure to be here at HJI, and so wonderful to work in this providential institution guided by our true parents. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the history and the background and the programs of study here at HJI. So to begin, I always like to cite our true father's words that were spoken as in a way that Dr. Walsh was referring to back in 1975 at the installation or the founding of what was then Unification Theological Seminary. And Father said, the seminary is not a place or a building. It is these people who are equipped with the spirit and ideal given by God. Armed upon graduation with the capacity for creative leadership, these students, I am sure, will be able to usher in a new world of higher dimension after removing society's vicious social vices. So we choose this quote out of Father's inaugural address from September 20th, 1975, because actually it kind of sums up who or what this institution is. Father is very clear. It's not a place, it's not a building, it's the people. And more than anything else, our students are at the very center of everything that we do here. we feel in a certain way heaven's commission to help both unificationists and non-unificationists to become uh, future leaders or to become greater leaders in their current capacity of leadership. And in that sense, we want to be a resource to strengthen our larger community's effectiveness in the areas of ministry and public leadership. And when we think about who our outreach efforts are seeking to embrace, naturally, our Family Federation leaders. This means our current leadership and our upcoming leadership. Also, our brothers and sisters who are part of our affiliated peace organizations such as UPF or Women's Federation or YSB and others, including ACLC and WCLC. Leaders from other faith traditions. We have a number of students here who are not unificationists in background from different church, Christian church affiliations, as well as other religious traditions. And we would like to be able to be of service to them in their roles in their own communities. And most of all, in this effort, we want to really build and train and empower effective interfaith leaders for the world that we're trying to affect and to create. It's important to understand that HJI is an accredited institution. Our programs are registered with the New York Department of Education, but even more importantly, we are accredited by the Middle States Commission of Higher Education, which is a regional accrediting body. In the U.S., for those of you who are coming to us today from abroad, there is no Ministry of Education as you might find in other countries. Our accreditation is done by peer institutions organized into regional bodies, which I think there's 10 or 12 to 14 different regional bodies. Ours is Middle States. Middle States accredits HJI in the same way within its same area, geographical area. It accredits Columbia or Cornell or Princeton or many other highly recognized and highly regarded institutions. So our accreditation puts the value of the HJI degree in the same category. HJI is also a member of a National Honor Society called the Theta Alpha Kappa, which is the Theta Alpha Kappa is the honor society dedicated to those students in the area of religious studies. And we hope to become members very soon of a similar honor society dedicated to the field of peace studies. These are our programs of study: Doctor of Ministry, Master of Divinity, Master of Arts and Religious Studies, Master of Arts and Peace Studies, and we have this is not a full degree, but it is a certificate in unification leadership. So I want to briefly explain a little bit about each one of those for your information. The certificate in unification leadership is a program that is now, we're happy to let you know, fully online. It requires 6 courses in 3 different areas of studies. One is unification studies, theological studies, and the last is the area of ministry. So on this foundation, you have a recognized credential that can be used towards a master's degree if you seek to complete your master's degree. As I mentioned also, we have a Master of Arts in Religious Studies. This is a 39 credit program, plus 3 credits for your thesis or your internship that you would have at the end of your studies. Your coursework is completed. And as you can see, the core courses will include areas of study in the Old and New Testament, church history, introduction and advanced study of divine principle, theology, systematic theology, world religions and encounter with other religions, ecumenism, ethics, and other areas. And if you wish, you can choose one of several concentrations, depending upon your interest: public and nonprofit leadership, interfaith peace building, unification studies, theological studies, and we also have a Korean language track. So this is our Master of Arts in Religious Studies, also available fully online. Next, we have our Master of Arts in Peace Studies, available fully online. In fact, this degree is only available online. Our other courses are available also in the classroom if you choose to come to campus. And the core courses in this degree program, which is a similar length as that of the Master of Arts in Religious Studies, do include areas of study such as peace and conflict studies, conflict analysis and transformation, diplomacy and faith-based diplomacy, world scripture and world peace. And of course, you learn methodology of research, which can work towards your academic work, your thesis, or your other advanced studies that you do. And as you see on the right column there are other courses which are electives, which can include ecumenism and interfaith, ethics and social justice, trauma and healing, marriage, family, and human development, and other areas. The Master of Divinity, for many years, the Master of Divinity historically in the training of ordained ministers was the gold standard for what was needed to become an ordained minister in a traditional Christian denomination. It's an extensive program. It's actually 80 credits in length. We're soliciting now to have it reduced by the state with state permission to 72 credits. But it has both a theological curriculum and a ministerial curriculum. You will study the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament, the New Testament. You'll learn to do exegesis. In other words, we'll analyze and then expound upon the meaning of the Bible passages. You study deeply church history. You look at other religions around the world. You become well versed in theology, etc. And then the second component, major component of the Master of Divinity is the ministry curriculum. This is where you learn to improve your ability to lead your congregation, to lead the ministry that you have. And ministry is more than just being a pastor standing at the pulpit. It could be a youth ministry, it could be a service ministry, it could be many kinds of pastoral care. So here you see courses in pastoral care and counseling, spiritual formation, religious education, etc. Finally, we have the Doctor of Ministry, which is the highest degree offered in the area of ministry. And let me just mention the Master of Divinity is also fully online. The Doctor of Ministry is one that we have requested permission to offer fully online, but still has a on-campus component that you must fulfill at some point during your studies. And in the seminars that are presented in the Doctor of Ministry, we will cover topics such as spiritual formation, integration, theological and ethical perspectives, transformational leadership, and others. And then the second part of your doctoral program is your research. You receive 4 courses in how to do research, how to formulate your question of your project and your dissertation, and then you spend the second part of your degree program completing your dissertation, and you graduate with a doctorate in ministry. So that said, I know that some of you on the call today are interested or potentially interested in joining our institution. So just want to speak to some of the concerns that I'm sure are in your mind. Let me just say before I go any further that this is a graduate school, master's degree level studies and doctoral level studies. And so naturally, the students at our institution and at other graduate schools across America, and surely in most parts of the world, are individuals who have completed their fundamental studies in university, have embarked upon a career, or in our case, many of our students on a certain ministry path. You have families, you have obligations, you're very busy people. So I know that for many of you, time is a big concern when you think about, well, would I be able to take on studies here at this institution? And the truth is, to be honest, it does involve investment. To do well in anything, you have to invest your time and your energy. And particularly some of us who may have been out of school for a while, will have to get back into the habit of carving out a weekly time or even a daily time to do your studies. But as you'll see hopefully from our students here today, and surely from the great success that our students have had here, that with a certain time management, you're able to succeed academically and learn a lot in these degree programs. The second concern is finances. There is a cost, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And of course, we're all burdened with many financial responsibilities for our home, for our family, etc. But I'm happy to say that you'll find if you do your study about our costs, that we are affordable. So let me just talk a little bit more about that. Two examples: Union Theological Seminary, New York Theological Seminary, similar kind of graduate school in the New York City area. These are their credit costs. In the US, the system is organized by a credit system, and one course, generally speaking, is 3 credits. So one credit at Union would cost about $1,300. New York Theological Seminary, almost $700. HJI has always done its very best to maintain competitive uh, costs for their tuition, mindful of the kind of the burdens that all of our students are facing. But more importantly, beyond what the cost is, we have very generous scholarship opportunities. Um, First generation unificationists will receive a 50% scholarship. That means 50% off the cost of the tuition. Second generation scholarship, second generation students can receive a 70% scholarship, sometimes even more, depending upon their particular situation. And for those non-unificationists who come to our school, and we have a good number of non-unificationists here, we offer merit-based academic scholarships for them based upon their prior academic performance. And that can range between 20 to 50% of the cost of tuition. And then for many of our students, we have found that many of them are able to, if they're a pastor in their community or their local church has a fund for education, many of our students are receiving additional funding from the local communities. So please keep in mind, when you do the math and you look at this, actually becomes very affordable. So in terms of taking classes in the spring, classes start January 27th. We have a full full schedule of classes this semester. But to give you, for those of you who are looking at us with eyes to maybe take a course or to begin your studies here, just to give you an idea of what courses might be of interest to you, let me mention a few. First of all, beginning on January 27th, we have a course called History of Christianity 1, which studied the history of Christianity from the time just after the death and resurrection of Jesus to the time of the Protestant Reformation and Martin Luther. This course will be offered by Dr. Franco Famolaro, adjunct assistant professor here at HJI, also a member of our board and one of our major leaders in the Canadian Family Federation and Universal Peace Federation. Dr. Walsh, our president, is offering a course on ecumenism and interfaith, which promises to be very, very important, very informative, and I think very useful, particularly as one of our goals as an institution is to give you the tools that are required to dialogue with fellow Christian leaders and the leaders of the members of other faiths. Dr. Thomas Ward, who is a professor of peace and development, will be offering a course in conflict analysis and transformation. He is an expert in this field, I'm sure you already know and will learn as you embark on a course of study underneath him. Dr. Tyler Hendricks, former UTS president and professor emeritus of church history, is offering a course in the life and thought of Sun Myung Moon and Hak Ja Han Moon, our true parents. Very, very interesting course that I'm sure many of you would be interested in. Dr. Andrew Wilson is offering a course on world scriptures and world peace. As you know, he was instrumental in the development of the World Scripture Anthology, which is a comparative text, comparative work of sacred texts. And finally, there are many other courses being offered this semester, but the last one I'll mention is Unification Approaches to Peace, given by Dr. Claude Perrotet, who was an adjunct professor of philosophy. So these are some courses that you might want to think about taking to begin your studies here. And as a student here, also, we have a number of events and activities that are kind of co-curricular or extracurricular. An example of this are the faculty roundtable series that we hold once a month during the regular semesters. This is a presentation that Dr. Thomas Ward gave about the role of Billy Graham and Dr. Franklin Graham in Washington-Pyongyang relations in their efforts to make relationship between the North and South, something as a case study for us to learn from and to understand how our true parents, to aid us in understanding our true parents' vision. Not too long ago, Dr. Wilson gave a presentation on the work that he's done into the Woli Wonbon, which is, as we know, is the original divine principle text that Father wrote. Examples of efforts focusing upon interfaith and peace building. This is a program that was co-sponsored by the Universal Peace Federation and at that time UTS. The featured speaker was Bishop Munib Yunan, who was the leader of the Lutheran Church and was instrumental in a historic conversation and dialogue between the Lutheran Church and the Catholic Church when he met with Pope Francis to kind of mend the rift of 400 years between these two major institutions. More recently, we had just in this past semester a commemoration program recognizing the hard work of our brothers and sisters behind the Iron Curtain, the 50-year anniversary of the imprisonment of our brothers and sisters in Czechoslovakia. They shared their testimonies. So these are some examples of webinars that we offer that kind of go along with our mission and help us to HJI to be provide service in this way to our greater community. But at the same time, we're interested in helping our students prepare themselves for their futures after graduation. So we have a career development series, which can include developing a resume. Actually, on Friday, for our Peace Studies students, we're having a program about how to develop, how to obtain an internship and the value of an internship. We'll talk about your social media presence. There's a number of topics in this area which we think are important and helpful. And then finally, I'll mention that actually this Thursday, you may have already received the invitation. Dr. Theodore Shimio, President Emeritus of UTS and Adjunct Professor of Theology, will be speaking about an upcoming book that he's ready to publish called Unification Theology in the Christian Tradition. We have an annual Student Research Day where faculty, students, and alumni are invited to present their research projects. And on the level of student activities, Associate Dean Mika Desitel is heading up the efforts to organize and kind of guide our Graduate Student Council. And here you see the 4 officers of our current Graduate Student Council. So just to conclude, I'd like to say, if you're thinking about studying at HJI, take it to our Heavenly Parent in prayer. And as you do so, I'd like to share with you my testimony of what I found when I first began studying here like 4 years ago. I just took one class. I had no plans to go back to school, but I found and continue to find a very engaging classroom with topics that are of great interest and of course open doors for me and others that to areas of knowledge and activity that I never was exposed to before. Truly, our students are bright, very inspiring. We find both a very highly qualified faculty. I worked in higher ed now for 23 years, 24 years. And honestly, the level of our full-time faculty here at HJI is at par to or beyond the levels of competency and expertise of full-time faculty I found at other institutions. As I said, our classroom is composed of both first and second generation unificationists, and it's really a delight to be able to engage with them in the classroom in this learning environment. But at the same time, as I said, we have a number of students who are from different faiths, from around the world in the Christian community and beyond, which enlighten us and give us the opportunity to engage face to face with people of other belief systems. We often talk about in our unification community about building bridges, doing interreligious and ecumenical work, but this is a place where you get the practice and the foundation to do that going forward. In terms of admission requirements, you'll need to fill out the online application. I'll drop the link into the chat box in a minute. You need to have a bachelor's degree in order to qualify to study here. You need to submit your original university transcripts. 2 letters of recommendation should be offered. And also, if English is not your native tongue, you will need to provide proof of English language proficiency through one of 3 standardized tests that we recognize. So in conclusion, I can honestly say that, first of all, HJI studies is affordable. You can manage the cost. It is doable if you manage your time. It truly is enjoyable. It's been a delight to be here working on the staff these 4 years, almost 5 years now, but also enjoyable to be in the class. in this learning experience. And I think truly I can say it is truly valuable on a personal level, on a professional level. The education we receive here at HJI has immediate application in the outreach work that we're doing. And I'd just like to conclude with some words from our true mother from her memoir, Mother of Peace. She says, every one of us needs to feel deeply grateful for being born. There is not one person whose birth is meaningless. Moreover, no person's life is his or hers alone. Heaven, earth, and all things in the universe interconnect through the lines of latitude and longitude. Peace means that all the energies in the entire world and in the entire universe are in harmony. Therefore, no one should belittle his or her life. We should deeply realize that everyone is a precious being born through the sacred workings of the universe. Words of our true mother. Personally, I take these words deeply to heart. I feel that God guided me to this institution, not just to work here, but also to be a student, to learn, to continue to learn. And even though I may have had different ideas about what I thought I knew or didn't know, I've learned that I have a lot to learn, and what I'm learning here is very valuable. So, as I said, please, if you're considering the possibility of studying here, take the step, at least to take it to our Heavenly Parent in prayer and ask about this. I promise you that if you take the step to take a class, you will not regret it. You'll only be delighted that you did take the step. Again, I will emphasize, though, it does take a commitment of time and effort to be successful. So these are my contact information. I'll also put this in the chat box. I also drop in the chat box the link to apply online. Normally there's a $30 application fee, but as a thank you to all of you for joining us tonight, we'll be happy to waive that fee when you submit your application. So, Dr. Walsh, that's what I have to say for now, so I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that fine overview, as usual, Dean Boyd. Now we're going to shift for a moment. We are going to come to where we'd invite you to submit your questions. You can put those in the chat column, or when we open up for questions and comments, you can ask your question orally. But I now want to showcase three of our brilliant students here. They're all working on their Master of Arts in Religious Studies, and they are none other than Ms. Shawna Lewis and Mr. Keisetsu Nakamura and Ms. Nina Urbonya. So I'm going to ask each of them three questions, and they each will have about 5 minutes, so their answers will not be long, but I'll ask them to say a little bit about themselves. Then I'll ask them to say a little bit about how they came to enroll in HJI, and thirdly, what their experience has been. So if that's okay, and if I may, I'd like to propose that I first will interact with Shawna Lewis, and then I will go to Keisetsu Nakamura, and then finally to Nina Urbonya. And after that, we'll have some open discussion with questions, particularly from those who have questions about the program and how to get involved with HJI. So, Shawna, tell us first a little bit about yourself so we can kind of connect with you and understand you a little bit.
Yes, sure. Hello, Dr. Walsh and everyone. My name is Shawna Lewis. I'm 24 years old and I'm from Nutley, New Jersey. I did my undergrad studies at Montclair State University, and I hold a Bachelor of Arts in Music Therapy. So my study was extensively in music and psychology, basically.
Nice.
Thank you.
No, you can keep going. I was just saying that's a wonderful area of
Oh,
study.
yeah. Oh, thanks.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think that's mostly it to introduce
Okay.
myself.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Well, then next is, how did you get involved, or what made you decide to enroll in HJI?
Oh yeah, sure. So I had some curiosity to HJI while I was still doing my undergrad studies, and I think I joined an open house similar to this one a couple years back, but I was still like uncertain actually. Um, yeah, since I'd studied like this music and psychology, and at the same time, I felt pretty sure I wanted to support the movement somehow more directly, and I wanted to learn more. And so theology was really interesting to me, and I thought it could be something that could also apply to my studies in like music therapy. Yep. So, but I guess yeah, I joined this semester and I took one class, my first class with HJI this fall, and I was really apprehensive, but the what a good push was the start of the advanced program for young aspiring leaders in the movement to study at HJI. So that gave me the encouragement, but I also found myself in the chunch one praying or like just praying. So I also think that helped, but kind of just went for it eventually.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow, that's inspiring. Now, I know there's a Richard Lewis on here who's a good friend of mine. Is there any relationship there?
Yay. Yeah, he's my uncle. Hi, Uncle
Okay.
Richard.
All right. I see him cheering you on and
Oh,
applauding. I think he's a
yay.
fan of yours.
Yeah.
And he's a brilliant man too. Uh, okay, so you got involved in HJI. Uh, has it been a worthwhile experience thus far? Any highlights you might point to?
Yeah, for sure. This semester I took the class Unification Worldview and Society with Dr. Ward,
Oh,
and yeah, it was really amazing for me. I like as I said, I was really apprehensive about starting to study because still figuring out so many things about life and what I want to do, and um, but as I studied, I found that I really enjoyed what I was studying. I felt like this is where I'm in the right place. At least I got that clear. And
mm,
uh, yeah, as I was studying, the main highlight for me was studying Marxist-Leninist or Marx-Leninist and
mm,
through causa, like we were reading,
yeah,
and especially the like understanding counter proposal to it because I had one experience in my undergraduate studies where I took a course with a professor who was very for communism basically, but it was very hard for me to take that course, and I couldn't really finish it well because it was just a lot like emotionally, and as someone who believes in God and having having to read books that are so like yeah against God, and it was really hard experience, and I always wanted to do something about it and like write a paper or something, but I never really did or get the chance, I guess. But this through this course, I found that my heart was healed actually a lot from that experience. That
oh,
happened in 2019, so it was like a long time ago, but it weighed heavy on me. But yeah, through this course and learning the unification worldview and counter proposal, I felt uh, so much better and clearer also on what I had learned then. And I finally had answer to how to clearly address it. Yeah, so that was really a highlight of this course this semester for me.
yeah, nice, wonderful sharing. So thank you. Thank you very much, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go next to Keisetsu Nakamura. So I'm going to ask you the same three questions. Let's start out. Keisetsu, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Thank you, Dr. Walsh. Yes, hello, everyone. My name is Keisetsu Nakamura. I'm 27 years old. I was born and raised in New Jersey, so I live in America. Um, Currently live in New York City. Um, I studied communication and media, so my bachelor's was in communications. So I come from a communication background, and I went to school in New Jersey as well. It's a STEM school called the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
and I was surrounded by a lot of very smart scientists and
Nice.
engineers. And I also did a minor in philosophy and applied ethics. And yeah, I graduated not too long ago. I spent more than I should have in college, but I graduated last year. And I switched majors a few times, but um, and I also was an active part of a student organization called CARP, um, working with college students and having deep discussions on campus. So
Nice.
yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Uh, Thank you. Uh, that's a very good school. I mean, it has a good reputation, so you went to a very fine school. And by the way, not all our students are from New Jersey. So even
Yeah.
though Shawna and Keisetsu are. So how did you get connected to HJI?
Yes. So I think throughout my time in college, I was really searching for a major that I can really connect to or resonate with. So I started off as an engineer. Actually, I studied civil engineering for a few years, and then I switched to communication and design eventually. And with the amount of time that I spent in college, I wanted to make use of the courses that I was taking. So I decided to minor in philosophy. And I studied about world religions. I studied different ethics, different perspectives and worldviews, which I wasn't so used to learning because I was learning about science, the sciences. So we don't really talk about religion, or um, we do talk about ethics in STEM schools, but we don't really talk about spirituality or religion. And yeah, during my time as a chapter leader for CARP, I started to uh, develop this deeper connection to spirituality and the purpose of life. And so I had a desire to go to HJI, which was formerly UTS. Um, and I had that in mind when I was the junior or senior in college. But yeah, similar to Sean, I think I didn't feel confident in this decision um, because of different concepts that I've had about graduate school. Uh, but and then more recently, I've also been part of the advanced program. Was invited to be part of this, so it was it felt like it was reaffirming my initial desire to apply
Hmm.
to HJI. So, and then lastly is a lot of the people that I work with. Some of my leaders, they've also attended HJI and have graduated, and yeah, they've learned so much, and I also wanted to inherit from what they've learned. So, yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. The advanced program is really wonderful. Dr. Ward and I met with Mi-Young Eaton recently, who's kind of coordinating, and she's shared with us her vision, of course, Reverend Dunkley's vision, and it's quite exciting. So we're excited about the partnership that we have between Family Fed and various of our affiliated organizations in HJI. How's your experience been so far? Is there certain things that stand out, either courses or your relationships with other students, whatever comes to mind?
Yes. So Shauna's also in my class as well, but um, yeah, I've been studying about the unification worldview and various different worldviews with my professor, Dr. Ward, and it's been really eye-opening for me, just learning about the history of like how people think and why people think that way. Especially like growing up in America, which is a polarized country. We have all the world religions in America. It's become very more surreal learning about um, ideologies and different worldviews from various parts of the world. And so yeah, learning about counterproposal to communist ideology, and also learning about right now I'm learning about humanism and postmodernism, a lot of the isms, the study of yeah, how people think, why people think that way. Yeah, it's been really insightful just to see how that's um, relevant in America today. And yeah, I think someone who comes from a STEM background but has studied philosophy, philosophy is always interesting to me, and learning about coming from a Judeo-Christian background, but learning about different ideologies and worldviews have been really helpful for me to be more confident in what I believe in. So,
Well, very thoughtful reflections, and I really appreciate that, Keisetsu. And thank you for being part of this great institution.
thank you.
You know, and for your service to all three of you. To it's not only as a student, but you really want to serve the world and in some form of public leadership, and so we're proud of you. Last but not least, I'd like to turn to Nina Urbonya. Nina, as with the others, I'd like you to just say a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Nina Urbonya. I was born in France, but I grew up most of my life in St. Lucia in the Caribbean because my parents became national messiahs. So when I turned 7, my whole family moved there. And then I got blessed and moved to America. I'm currently the pastor in Detroit, the Detroit Family Church. I started in 2020, just before COVID. And I'm a mom of 4 kids, 6, 4, 2, and 8 months. So yeah, I'm in the thick of it. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Yeah. So I visited St. Lucia a few times, and maybe I even met you. I don't know when you were.
Yes, I remember when you came.
So with Remy Topier.
Yes.
So anyway, it's a beautiful spot. So how did you get from here to there or there to here? What guided you to HJI?
Well, it's kind of interesting. When I first moved to America, I worked for CARP a little bit with Naokimi, and at the time, I think the whole CARP team took a class. I think it was like Divine Principle or diving deeper into Divine Principle, some class like that. And it was very insightful, and I enjoyed it a lot. And at the time, I was fresh out of college, so my brain was still working very well, and it was great to have discussions with other students as well. But then, I had kids and many things happened. And it was always in the back of my mind, like maybe this is something to reconsider someday. And, after one child, I thought maybe, and then after 2 kids, and then 3 kids, and now finally after 4 kids, I find myself taking it on. So it's kind of interesting, but I guess it's just the timing. It just felt like the right time. I got a phone call, I think maybe like 2 weeks before, enrollment began, and I think it just felt like the right timing. I was searching for something to go a little bit deeper, and I knew that True Mother wanted us to become very educated, right? She was talking about St. Paul, and so I really wanted to try it out. I was very nervous because it's been almost 10 years since I've like dived deep into academics. But I was encouraged to take one class, so here I am taking, my first class. And also, I think I was finding myself in a place where I was dealing with more like Christian ministers, and I felt unqualified in a sense to like speak in front of them or to be able to relate with them. You know, they've gone to seminary, they've really, you know, done like a lot of studies and have good religious background, but I had nothing, you know. I kind of stepped up because I like our community, and of course I want to do something for God and True Parents, but I felt like I lacked the education behind. And so, yeah, I just felt like now was despite everything that's going on, now felt like a good time to dive a little deeper into these kind of religious studies.
Yeah, I mean, you made such an important point that is, you know, you want to serve God and True Parents, you want to make the world better, and then how you develop yourself so that you can actually, we can make impact wherever we are and wherever we're at. There's no question, anybody and everybody, but actually you can also increase the probability of making wider impact as you develop certain skills and talents that only come through time and effort and really learning. And so I think you know, when you look around at the alumni from this institution now 50 entering its 50th year soon, you know, and you see the graduates all over the world, and it was a great investment of True Parents to invest in learning, whether it's Sunmoon University or the Little Angels Performing Arts School or this great institution, because we have to increase our capacities in order to be more effective for heaven, for God, to make a difference in this world. So I really like that you kind of underscored that point, and I think all three of you are really exemplary models of good students and good members of our movement who are taking this on. You in particular, you've got 4 children, and yet you're doing this. It's quite exemplary and very, very impressive. Well, thank all three of you, and I applaud you, and I think our audience does as well. Bravo, bravo, bravo. I think I'll invite Dean Boyd for you to come join us on this panel, and maybe you can encourage, or if there are some questions that are in the chat, or we can just kind of see if our audience has some questions.
Yeah, I don't see any question in the chat box. If you have a question, you're welcome to put it in the chat box. You can just type it in there and then we'll read it to everyone gathered. If not, you're also welcome to raise your hand, use that raise your hand feature, and then we can call on you, we can unmute. If you'd like to ask any question about our degree programs, ask a question of one of our student panelists about their experience here, anything at all, you're welcome to do so.
Don't be shy.
I think we probably answered all their questions.
I think so. I think Mr. Richard Lewis, Dr. Lewis may have some comments.
I was going to ask my niece how she was doing in Romania, because she looks as though she's at home in New Jersey, but she's out in Romania. How are you doing? Spreading the good word out there? Bringing Romanians into the UTS? Wonderful.
Well, you know, it's one of the great miracles of science and technology that we have these capacities for also distance learning in our programs, and we have students literally all across the world and all the time zones, and getting world-class education. It's just a miracle of our age. So, and we're very proud that HJI really got out in ahead of the curve, so to speak, on this whole effort at distance learning. That we feel we're second to none in those capacities, and it just opened up the market so broadly to have students from Cambodia and Nepal and Sri Lanka and Benin and Austria and Poland and all across the world. So,
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, Dr. Walsh, particularly for our first generation members, HJI is a very different institution than it was years ago when you were required, if you wanted to study here, to kind of pull up roots and then move to the New York City area and attend classes on campus. Our reach is expanded enormously, even in the short time that I've been here. I think it's now about 40 countries that our students are either residing in or from, attending class here in the US. And it's the miracle of distance learning. And I would add that having seen distance learning at other schools, HJI is highly competent in the delivery of the course content online. So you can do this from the comfort of your home at pretty much the hour you choose, unless you have a weekly class meeting. Some of the courses do, some do not. And you can make your schedule around that. So it's very, very, very doable. I'd just like to read Dr. Ward's comments. So Dr. Ward, these are your students. Dr. Ward says, we are so blessed to have such wonderful next generation leaders at HJI. They are doing a wonderful balancing act among advance, their day-to-day mission, and HJI. So thank you so much to Shawna, Keisetsu, and Nina for your insights this evening. I'll echo that. Thank you for sharing with us. It's really wonderful to hear from you.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Reverend Dunkley, who I'm co-teaching a course with presently here at HJI, and he's done a couple of semesters we've taught together. It's been simply fascinating. And, his vision is that each year a new cohort will enter kind of as part of the advanced team. So we're very excited about that. We're sharing that vision with the other regions, the Europe and Middle East region, Africa, our Asia Pacific region of Family Fed, Korea and Japan and Latin America, and a lot of excitement. Dr. Balcom's a great help in Europe and the Middle East, Jacques Marion, Mrs. Catherine Rigney in Africa, and Adama Doumbia, Eknath Dakal in Asia, who just graduated in May as a member of the parliament there in Nepal, together with President Hori, who's the regional president, with Dr. Otsuka, who's now the chair of UPF in Japan, Dr. Yang, of course, in Korea with UPF. So there's a lot of excitement about what's going on, and that kind of strong sense that certainly Reverend Dunkley has, that this is a part of the leadership training development program of our movement of True Mother. And the fact that she also has encouraged the Top Gun missionaries to study at HJI while they're on their 2-year missionary course. And I've just been so happy to have the chance to have them here at HJI for this semester. But as Dean Boyd said, we're looking ahead not only to the end of this term, but looking to the spring semester. And he mentioned a number of courses, so I really hope that those of you who are here tonight who are thinking about HJI will take it seriously and pray about it, and hopefully you will feel guided as these 3 wonderful current students have.
Well, Dr. Walsh, we're about at the hour, so thank you, Dr. Walsh, for taking time to host our event tonight. Thank you to our 3 distinguished students, and thank you for coming and taking your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who registered for our program tonight. We're grateful that you could be with us. If you have any inclination to, if you want to learn more, I put my my contact information in the chat. Please reach out. We'll be happy to respond in any way we can and help you in any way we can.